came back.
To stay in Garth Manor one night, Mr. President.
Very good, Jim. And why is this night so special? Miss Dunsmore.
Because 12 years ago, Raymond Garth murdered his family here and then committed suicide. Quaaludes.
Looky here.
And Jack Daniels.
Okay.
Well, you sure cut onto the American lifestyle fast.
Boy, get the hell out of here. Give me that gun.
Hi, I'm Deborah Voorhees. I play Tina in Friday the 13th, Part 5, and you are listening to Hysteria Continues.
Yes, indeed you are. Welcome back to the Hysteria Continues, the first show of 2013. And we're still in the party mood here, as you can hear in the background. Let's turn it down a little bit. Debbie Sue Voorhees, she always sounds a little bit disinterested, doesn't she, on that opening? Or is it just me?
Well, I think the day I interviewed her, she was more interested in promoting her movie rather than talking about Friday the 13th, Part 5.
I expect she's spoken about it quite a lot.
I was kind of the opposite. So
yeah, no, fair enough. But welcome to Garth Manor and to my fellow pledges. How are we doing? Erik, we just heard from you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I ended up in accident and emergency on Christmas Eve with severe stomach pains. The doctor said, have I been under any stress lately? And I played him the Hysteria Continues Christmas quiz. And that, he said, well, that explains it.
Oh, gosh. So he kind of gave you, whatever you wanted in the way of drugs and stuff.
Anti-Justin bully pills, yeah.
You didn't have Quaaludes then, Jack Daniels?
No.
Okay. Well, so I hope you're fully fit, are you?
I am fully fit now, yes.
For the next quiz, which is coming up, Joseph's
I'll be fully fit for the next half hour, and then I'll be back in the hospital again.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
As long as we've got you for that short amount of time, Erik, that's the main thing. Nathan, how are you doing?
I am good.
Good.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. How was your New Year's Eve?
Uneventful.
Okay.
I didn't do anything.
No?
I stayed home. I was boring.
No flaming black sambucas or anything?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay. Well, it's a black liqueur that you set light to, and then you sort of down it in one.
Yes, and how many did you have last
sort of like
night?
a flaming moe.
A flaming moe?
Oh, okay. I know what a flaming moe is.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't actually have any flaming black sambucas last night, Erik. I was joking. I was just drinking lager, which is very boring. But Joseph, how are you doing, and how was your New Year's Eve and Christmas? You were on the beach, weren't you?
Yeah, I was on the beach for most of the end of December. But I have a question for you guys. What if the world did end on December 21st, and we're all just kind of like disembodied consciousness stuck in some sort of podcast purgatory and unable to move on until we resolve some sort of issue we couldn't resolve in life? Kind of like, who's better, Susie or Toya? Think about that.
I think we have been in that purgatory for the last 2 years, haven't we,
I think we have, yeah.
Yes. Although, obviously, that question has been resolved time and time again, but it still keeps coming up.
Obviously.
Okay.
Well, yes, whether or not we are in the purgatory and whether or not actually we're just talking to ourselves or there are a few of you out there, we're back anyway for 2013.
Well, you had Christmas in the sun as well, though, Justin, did you not?
I did. I was in Portugal, in Lisbon for Christmas. Very nice. And we went to Wales for New Year, which meant I was able to get through 3 cocks one evening.
Oh, very good.
And on the way back as well.
Did you get on top of Lord Hereford's knob?
We did indeed, actually. Went over the top of it. And it was very damp, actually. There was puddles everywhere.
Justin, did you make any bacon on the beach?
No, well, I'm vegan.
Well, there's like vegan bacon.
Yes, there is, actually.
Which is totally boring, by the way.
It's all right. It tastes a bit like insoles.
Like bacon?
It's fakin'.
It's bacon. It's a bit like Frazzles. Do you remember Frazzles? You probably don't have them in the States. You would know,
crisps,
Erik.
yeah. Yeah.
Like bacon flavoured crisps, which no bacon in them at all. But yes, it sounds like, well, hopefully if you're listening at home, which obviously you presume you are, or in the car on the way to work, or at work, and you shouldn't really be doing that, but maybe you are, then I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. And say we are back with plenty more mayhem for 2013. I think the next date for the world to end isn't for until 2016, apparently, so we've got a few more years left. But yes, this episode we've got Hell Night, which is one of my favourite early 80s slashers, which is probably why I've chosen it, actually.
And it's the half-century mark as well.
It is. It's our big 5-0, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It is. So 50 episodes plus. Actually, if you add in the mini-sodes and the various bits and pieces, we're probably, up to about 56, 57. But yeah, 50 is quite. I think we need a bit of a slap on the back, don't we?
Yes.
Reach out, Erik, and slap someone.
There's no one here to slap.
Okay. Well,
sadly.
Slap your own backside.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just imagine slapping Toya.
Oh, he's doing it. Oh, my gosh.
Erik, is that you slapping your bare bottom?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Joseph told me to.
Yes. Well, we'll
and what I say goes in the Erik household.
Yeah.
I can see this is going to be one of those kind of shows. But we also have, obviously, Hell Night is our feature presentation coming up a little bit later. We've got another quiz, and I do apologise for starting an international, what's the word for it, international situation by saying Ontario was in Syria or something.
No, you said it was a city and it's a province, apparently.
I know, apparently, yes.
Well, those Canadians, if you don't get it right, they'll come get you.
I know. And also, obviously, what happened was that it meant it skewed the scoring as well. So it's one of those kind of, one of those things that's living on in infamy. So hopefully, with Joseph's quiz, we will be able to...
Well, I've already told everyone that either Nathan and I have tied or he won by a point, so I'm just done with it.
Okay.
Do you know what it's like, Justin? It's like Frank Lampard's goal against Germany in the 2008 World Cup.
Is it?
Yeah. Or 2010, was it? Yeah. Because the ball went over the line, but it was disallowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a football fan, Erik?
I like football, yes.
Do you? Oh.
In fact, I'm sacrificing live football on the telly now to do the podcast.
I bet you've got it on in the background, haven't you?
No, I've got Hell Night on in the background.
Oh, have you? Okay, well, no,
I can't get ESPN in my bedroom, so...
Okay, that's dedication for you.
It is dedication.
But yes, well, I accidentally realised on one of my little memorabilia videos, I kind of annoyed the whole of Belgium by suggesting that they speak either Belgian or Walloon in Belgium, and obviously Walloon is Belgish. Haha, there you go. Belgish, but they speak Belgian, Walloon or French. But anyway, enough of my appalling geography. Joseph, you've got a fantastic, hopefully, quiz, which Erik, hopefully, you'll be able to get a couple of those. And we've also got, what else have we got? Well, we've recently seen, so we'll probably kick off with that, shall we? See what we've been watching over the holidays. So, Nathan, do you want to go first? What have you been watching recently?
I haven't watched much over the holidays. I did watch, now my mind suddenly went blank. That's not good.
I've never heard of it. Good.
I watched The Forest,
okay.
And I really like it because, it's really bad and cheesy, so that's one reason I like it. I won't say too much because obviously it's something that I will pick.
But of course, yes.
Yes. But I know I've watched more movies. Oh, I watched Private Parts, the...
Paul Patel. Is it Linda Warnoff?
The 70s movie, so yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
Not Linda Warnoff. What's her name? Mary Warnoff.
Yeah.
Paul Bartel?
Yeah, but I don't think she's in it.
Oh, isn't she? Okay.
I don't remember her being in this movie. But it's a really interesting, very weird movie. It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
And lastly, I watched Bad Dreams, the 80s movie.
I watched that as well.
With Jennifer Rubin.
I watched that recently as well. How spooky.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
How about you, Joseph?
What did you think of it, Erik?
I thought it was better than I saw it when I saw it back in 1988-89, but I still didn't think it was much of a masterpiece, to be honest.
I'm with you. I like I actually like it all the way up to the ending, and I think the ending's a little bit of a letdown for me anyway. It just seemed kind of, oh, that's it for the ending. But, you know, I mean, it's an okay time waster, but I don't see myself revisiting it anytime soon.
Did you watch the special features with the real end, well, the ending they didn't use?
No, I didn't actually, because I watched this on TV.
Okay, because, you know, at the end of the film, it's the doctor falls to his death, doesn't it? And they go away and it's all happy ending. But in there was a whole extra scene where they go back to the house to find closure, and then she goes in and hallucinates everyone there cutting their throats, including all the people from the people she knew in the hospital. And right at the end, a skeleton hand comes in and picks up a knife and pulls it out of shot. So there was about a 5-10 minutes extra bit at the end they cut out for whatever reason.
That'd be interesting to see.
But
I remember Bad Dreams. It came to Southgate 5 in 1988 or 89. I remember the poster for it. It's at the theater. We saw Jeepers Creepers 2 before they tore it down and put the other one in Fort O. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think my brother saw it, and I think he might have liked it. I don't remember.
I kind of guess it was they tried to sell it as a Nightmare on Elm Street film, didn't they? But it wasn't like that at all, was it? So it wasn't a slasher movie as such, was it? And it wasn't a Nightmare on Elm Street movie as such. So it kind of but it was Gail Ann Hurd, wasn't it? Who's I think most recently producing The Walking Dead, and obviously did things like Terminator and all those kind of biggish films, didn't she? Okay, Nathan. Anything else?
Nope, that's about it.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. How about you, Erik?
Okay, I got one of these I bought, the others I got as lovely gifts for Christmas. I also got Zombie Flesh Eaters on Blu-ray. Did you get your Blu-ray back yet, Justin?
I did, yes. Yes.
Thankfully. Because it actually is terrific, and there's such a mountain of special features on the disc. This is the Arrow UK release, and the film does look stunning. But something that looks even more stunning, and probably as you would expect, because it's a big studio release, was I got the new Blu-ray of Jaws for Christmas.
Right. Okay, yeah.
And it really is demo disc quality. It looks absolutely stunning. Some great extras there, including the full 2-hour making of documentary that was truncated, I think, for the DVD release. This was the original documentary they made for the Laserdisc back in the mid-90s. There's also some new stuff on there as well. But, it just does look absolutely amazing. Like, even somebody who's not an AV expert like myself, even I could notice the difference. And if you were ever trying to convince somebody to convert to Blu-ray, I think Jaws would be a good disc to throw on to show them. As for the film itself, I still think the first 70 minutes is a complete masterpiece. Once it's three men in a boat versus the shark, I tend to lose interest, kind of. I think it slows down quite a lot, and then obviously picks up at the end for the spectacular finale. I still think this is very controversial. I know. I still think Jaws 2 is a better experience because it's more consistent viewing experience for me. Because it constantly builds. Whereas I think with Jaws, for me, it sort of grinds to a halt 2/3 the way through, and then becomes a bit tedious. I find. I don't know what you guys think.
One of those things where Jaws is actually a better film, but Jaws 2 is a better movie.
Yeah, I kind of understand what you mean. Yeah, Jaws 2 is certainly much more fun. I think
a little more entertaining, more rewatchable.
And it's more of an exploitation monster movie than Jaws is. So, but I do highly recommend this Blu-ray because it is absolutely spectacular looking.
Is it a US one or a UK one?
It's a UK one.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other one I got for Christmas was Cabin in the Woods on Blu-ray. I remember that Joseph said his second viewing was a bit of a disappointment, and I could kind of see where you're coming from. For me, when I was watching it in the cinema, the big spectacular part of the film was the final third, whereas the opposite happened this time. When I was watching it again on Blu-ray, I found I was really engrossed for the first 2/3, and then, possible spoiler alert, once the final two characters go underground and find, out what's going on and they meet all the different monsters, that's when my interest began to wane a bit. I do think it's probably a film that doesn't hold up to repeated viewings, as Joseph said.
I felt the same way, exactly the same way as you did. Because you know what's going to happen, it doesn't have that kind of zing to it.
Yeah.
But I did get the Blu-ray for $5 during, but right before, it was around the Black Friday. Best Buy had a bunch of Blu-rays for really dirt cheap, so I went kind of shopping, and I picked that up because I liked it enough to own it on Blu-ray. But yeah, I feel the same way. I think in the theater, I thought the first part was kind of, building, and then that wham ending. But this time I felt, it was the opposite, just like you.
Yeah, that's what I found. Exactly. So, yeah, got a few other things for Christmas. I got some mainstream stuff that I haven't watched yet, like the Dark Shadows remake or reboot or film version by Tim Burton and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I tend to get a lot of mainstream stuff for Christmas because, family members just aren't aware of the more sort of esoteric stuff. So, but I mean, God, that sounds really ungrateful. But I do like that. I do like it. I'm really looking forward to seeing Dark Shadows. Actually, it looks kind of like it could be fun. I saw the trailer in the cinema and thought it could be quite interesting. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it.
No, I haven't seen it. No. Okay.
I used to watch the TV show growing up.
Yeah, we never. I don't think. Do we ever get that over here, Justin? I don't think we did.
I don't think so. I never saw it on TV. No, because it was a daytime thing, wasn't it? In the States.
Yeah, and I never saw any of the spin-off movies either. So I'm completely fresh to this whole area. So,
yeah, excellent. Right. Well, thank you very much, Erik. How about you, Joseph? What you've been watching?
Well, I haven't watched much, but last night I watched Looper, which I thought was a massive disappointment because I'm a big fan of time travel movies, but the problem is that I kind of found the movie to be, boring. I mean, I didn't much care for any of the characters, so the plot, which is kind of, admittedly interesting in and of itself, it isn't much fun to follow because you're not really invested in anyone. I mean, it has some good special effects, and at least the actors give it their all, but it's just a long, long slog through like one paradox after another, of which, the movie kind of insultingly brushes aside with one of those lame, it doesn't matter how time travel works. Ooh, look, that guy's got a shiny gun kind of throwaway line. But I always think, good time travel movies are capable of telling, intriguing stories and addressing the paradoxes from zipping through time. But, at nearly 2 really long hours, I kind of suppose it was for the best they didn't break out a series of diagrams to explain the plot. It's a movie I was looking forward to, and I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's a pretty interesting actor, and he looks and acts just like Bruce Willis in this film. So, that's another plus. But I don't know. I was kind of let down. But it has one good scene. I won't spoil it too much, but basically one of the guys, a character kind of comes back from the past, and he's kind of on the run. And so, they do that whole thing where let's hurt him in the present, so so scars will show up on his body on his older body. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's really neat how they do this. It's kind of an interesting scene, but for the most part, the rest of the movie is kind of forgettable, at least in my opinion. I mean, I know it got rave reviews, but I was really let down.
Okay. I've not seen it. Nathan, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
No. What about you, Erik?
No, I haven't seen it, but I was looking forward to seeing it.
Okay.
I'm not sure about now. Because it did get like unbelievably rave reviews when it was in the cinema.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joseph. Anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I mean, I've been basically, kind of busy, but I'm trying to get my movie watching habits back in order for the new year, so there will be plenty more to come.
Excellent. Okay, great stuff. Well, just quickly, there's a couple of films that I watched recently. The first of which was a film that was in a cinema in the UK only a few months ago, and now is out on pay TV here, or on the freebie pay TV. It's called When the Lights Went Out, and it's a kind of based on a supposedly true poltergeist story from the early 1970s, and it's set in 1974 in a kind of northern town. And like most poltergeist activity, it's centered around a pubescent teenage girl. And in this instance, the poltergeist is doing things like slamming doors, the usual kind of thing, throwing grandfather clocks down the stairs, pulling the girl up the stairs by her neck, things like that. But apparently it's based on a supposedly true story, and the director said that his mother used to go around the house and said that the poltergeist used to do things like smear jam on doorknobs, and apparently conducted onward Christian soldiers while wearing white gloves, apparently, which isn't the scariest kind of apparition you would imagine, which is kind of probably why they left it out of the movie. The movie itself's okay. The period detail's fantastic. It's really, really, really good. It looks exactly like a kind of grungy 1974, and like the two little girls dress up as Sweet, which were like a sort of 70s kind of glam rock band and sort of dance around and things like that. But the actual film itself's not actually that good. It's not. There's a couple of quite scary moments in it, but overall, it doesn't really work. But it's probably worth a watch if you're a fan of ghost stories and 70s fashion. Which have you seen, Erik?
No, I haven't actually. No. Sounds good though.
This is a new movie?
It is this year. It was surprising because
Baby Jesus probably doesn't have a hold of it yet.
I saw it on. We get Love Film, which is kind of like Netflix, which you get Netflix here now as well. But it's Love Film, and it's Love Film Instant, and you have a certain amount of free films to watch, and and it's one of those. So we watched it for free on streaming last week. So it is out there, but it's worth a watch. But it's nothing fantastic, but it's okay. So the other film,
I should also, I'm sorry, Justin, I should also mention that the podcast is finally 100% complete now. Nathan is associated with the Baby Jesus.
Yes.
Oh yes.
All praise the Baby Jesus. Yes. The other film, I finally got hold of, Living Dead at Manchester Morgue on Blu-ray, which is a film I really like, and I've always wanted to pick up the Blu-ray, and for whatever reason, I've never managed to. So I picked up the Blue Underground release, and I finally got that delivered just before Christmas. So I watched that the other day, and it looks fantastic on Blu-ray, and it's got some really interesting extras, and it's probably one of my favourite zombie movies. I think it's really insane. The only weird thing, and I think this is what happens we've talked about this in the past about high definition. But most of the gore effects still look pretty good because Giannetto De Rossi, I think, is who did a lot of the Italian gore movies. But the famous scene, the most surprising scene for a 1974 movie was a scene where a nurse has her breast ripped off. You've all seen that scene, haven't you?
Oh yeah,
yeah. But on the Blu-ray, you can tell the color of the prosthetic breast is completely different to the rest of her skin tone, and it just looks very, very false. But when I saw it on a very dodgy kind of nth generation VHS back in the day, of course it looked just like with the Evil Dead, and you can see where the gloves end with the zombie hands and things like that. Sometimes high definition really sort of doesn't do a film any favors when it comes to special effects.
In a way, I kind of think it does, because when you can actually see some of those special effects, it kind of gives it kind of a comical spin almost.
I guess so.
That's just my opinion. I
mean, the rest of the special effects are pretty good, actually. And I mean, for a film of that age. Actually, talking of special effects, has anyone seen The Hobbit? Because there's all that controversy, wasn't there, about the kind of 48 frames per second as opposed to 24 frames, and making it look less realistic rather than more realistic.
No, I haven't seen it. I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings at all. So
neither am I.
Either.
No interest in seeing it, really.
I'd be interested in seeing a 48 frames per second film. If another one comes along that's more my style, I'd go see it.
Like a slasher film.
I'd be curious just to see what the effect is. Apparently, it's like just watching high definition television, so it makes it more documentary-like. Or
I'm surprised that you're not a fan of that, Erik, because someone told me you were a Lord of the Rings.
I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer.
Okay. Right, well, anyway, that's our recently seen, so I think...
Oh, sorry, I just had one thing I forgot to mention, actually, for recently seen. This will interest only you and I, Justin. I watched an old Top of the Pops from the 15th of October 1981.
Oh, yeah.
And it was great because it had the Creatures singing Mad-Eyed Screamer, Toya singing Thunder in the Mountains. It Altered Images, another one of my favourite bands from the time, doing Happy Birthday. And just to show how weird and eclectic the charts were back then, this was interspersed with Gary Glitter, the wonderful Gary Glitter singing And Then She Kissed Me, a cover version of the 60s song. The Birdie song by the Tweets was in there as well. And there was this absolutely noisy, horrendous song by The Exploited as well.
Okay.
So,
where did you see that? Was that on TV, or was it just you downloaded it?
no, the Baby Jesus has bestowed me with quite an archive of old Top of the Pops from 1981 to 1985. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you watching? Do you get BBC?
4, I do, yes,
Yeah.
I do. I watched the 1970s ones; they're great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, but okay. Well, thank you, Eric. But it's always good to have a little mention. And just imagine Toya and Susie in the same studio on the same day.
Well, actually, Toya was on video because she was too busy, going around the world, being really successful at the time. The creatures were in studio though.
Okay, yeah, it was something like that, wasn't it? But well, thank you for sharing, Eric. Toya's brief moment in the spotlight. So
Toya was number 5. The creatures were number 25.
Yeah, but it was a much better song, though, wasn't it?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on because now we have Joseph's fiendish quiz. So I'll hand it over to you, Joseph. Take it away.
Well, I'm hoping it's not too difficult for you, but basically this is a part 1 of a 2-part quiz. The second part will be broadcast on my next pick. So this is basically 80s slasher films. We're going to start with 1980 and then move through to 1984. And then when we get to the other episode, it'll be 85 through 89. But we'll start with 1980, and there are 3 questions behind 3 doors. And Eric, do you pick door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
Number 2s have not been kind to me, so I'm going to go for number 3.
Number 3. All right, here we go. There is a link to the football team, the Chicago Bears, in the 1980 slasher film Deadly Games. Can you name it?
There's a link to the Chicago Bears in the...
Yes. 1980 slasher film Deadly Games. Can you name it?
I don't know. Is the answer Ontario? No,
yes,
that's not my
it
answer.
is.
That's not my answer. There's one of the football players is in the film, but I have no idea who it is. Steve Wilson.
Rails
Is that
back.
your answer?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You were on the right track, but unfortunately, that's not it. But I will hand it over to Justin. Can you answer the question?
So Eric said Steve Railsback was in that Deadly Games, wasn't he? But to be honest, I don't know. So I'm going to take a stab in the dark. One of them did the stunts.
No. What about you, Nathan? Can you answer the question?
The Chicago Bears, they play football, and football is a game, and the title of that movie is Deadly Games.
Oh, I might be going with that.
It's a good answer, but I'm afraid not. The answer is one of the actors in the film is Dick Butkus, who was a Chicago Bears football player.
What was his
What a
name?
name.
Dick Butkus.
Buttkiss.
Yes.
Very good.
So
What an easy question. Thank you.
Yeah. Right now we are at 0 for 0 for 0. All right, so we're moving on to Justin. Do you pick door number 1?
Just before you do that, Josie, I just want to mention something very, very quickly. When you're saying Dean Butkus or whatever it was, there's Celebrity Big Brother has just started in the UK, and I don't watch it, but one of the people on it I've never heard of before. She's a page 3 stunner, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's ladies whose breasts burst asunder on the page 3 of the Sun newspaper, and her name is Lucy Banghard. And apparently it's a real name. So
Apparently
anyway,
it is a real name.
yeah. So there you go.
It's
Sorry.
like Holly
Wow.
Goodhead from Moonraker or something.
Yes. So go on, Joseph. What's my? Give me
All
a
right,
hard one.
Justin, do you pick door number 1 or door number 2?
Door number 2, I think.
All right, okay. There are 2 actors in 1984's Bachelor Party that previously made appearances in 2 separate slasher films from 1980. You need to name them both for the point. A bonus point if you can name the movies in which they appeared.
Well, I know the Bachelor Party was Tom Hanks, wasn't it? And he was in He Knows You're Alone. It was the first one, but I don't think Kathleen O'Heaney was in a Bachelor Party. Was she?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Is it Don Scardino?
No.
No.
I will give you half a point for guessing one of them, so you're at half a point.
Okay, thank you.
But I will hand it over to Nathan and see if he can guess the other one, and he'll get a half a point.
I've never seen Bachelor Party, so I don't know.
Okay, what about you, Eric?
Okay, I have seen Bachelor Party, and I think I might know this, but I don't want to get too excited. Is it Adrian Zmed, and he is in The Final Terror?
No, he is in The Final Terror, but that's 1983.
Oh, what was the question?
The question was which two actors appeared in 1980.
Oh.
We're on 1980, remember?
Oh, yeah. Okay, well then it's... was The Final Terror not filmed in 1980?
No, it was released in 83.
Oh, this is crap. I
like
this.
trying to go for that technicality there.
Tawny Katane is in Bachelor Party, and she's in a Whitesnake video, possibly from 1980.
Yes, but that's not a slasher film, and it wasn't 1980.
Oh.
Sorry. We are at half a point for Justin, but the other actor was Michael Dudikoff. He was in Bachelor Party, and he appeared in Bloody Birthday from 1980.
No, would never have got that.
Okay. He's famous for the American Ninja movies. So I guess that leaves Nathan with door number 1.
I'm in the lead.
Shut up.
Okay.
With half a point. All right, Nathan. Hall & Oates, the musical group, have a song that shares a name with an alternate title of a slasher movie from 1980. What is the alternate title, and a bonus point if you can guess to which movie it belongs?
I don't know. Rich Girl?
No, I'm sorry, that is wrong.
That's like the only Hall & Oates song I know.
We'll move on to Erik.
The only Hall & Oates song that could possibly be attached to a horror movie would be Man Eater.
That is correct. Can you guess the movie?
From 1980, Man Eater.
I know.
Oh, is it Anthropophagus?
It is.
That is right, so you have 2 points.
Yay!
And you are in the lead. How do you like them apples?
I love them apples.
These questions are horrible because all of your stuff takes place before I was even born.
You were born in
Hall & Oates were
1980.
famous before I was even born. I didn't listen to that music. Get with the times, man.
Who doesn't listen to Hall & Oates?
Me.
Give Nathan a question about Christina Aguilera or something.
See?
Okay. All right. We're moving on to 1981, and we are back to... Okay, we're going to start with Justin this time. Do you pick door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
Let's stick with door number 2.
Door number 2. Okay. This 1981 holiday slasher film featured someone who would later shout an obscenity at Eddie Murphy in another film. Can you name that someone? And if you can name him, you'll get a point. And if you can name the movie, you'll get another point.
Gosh. Well, Eddie Murphy. So it's going to be either something like Beverly Hills Cop or Coming to America or something like that, isn't it? But is the movie Happy Birthday to Me?
I'm sorry, that is wrong.
Okay. No, I've no idea.
All right, we'll try to hand that off to Nathan. Can you guess that?
Can you repeat that question?
This 1981 holiday slasher film featured someone who would later shout an obscenity at Eddie Murphy in another film. Can you name that someone? And if you do, you get a point. And if you can name the movie, you'll get another point.
Della Reese, Friday the 13th.
I'm sorry, that is wrong. What about you, Erik? Can you name it?
Well, the only one I can think of is Jamie Lee Curtis was in Halloween 2 in 1981, and she was in Trading Places with Eddie Murphy in 1983. I don't know if she shouted an obscenity at him, but she got her tits out to Dan Aykroyd.
That is true, but she did not shout an obscenity at him.
Oh, okay.
The answer is Jake Steinfeld from Home Sweet Home. He was in Coming to America. He shouted, and I quote, "You dumb fuck," to Eddie Murphy in Coming to America.
I saw that movie like 10 years ago.
Is Home Sweet Home a holiday-themed movie?
Yeah, it's
It's
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yes. All right. We'll move on to Nathan. Do you pick door number 1 or door number 2?
Not that it matters, but I'll pick door number 2.
Door number 2. All right. Sam Raimi, the director of Evil Dead, is linked to a made-for-TV slasher film from 1981 in a 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon sort of way. How is he connected?
He made a horror movie, and that 71 or whatever TV movie is a horror movie. There you go.
No,
That's just one degree.
How is he
I did
connected?
better.
If you can name the movie, and you'll get the point. So I guess
I gotta name the movie.
Yeah.
What year is the TV movie again?
Well, you got to name the movie, and you got to name how he's connected to it. So you get 2 points. You get them right. You get one if you get one right. You get another if you get both of them right.
Oh, well, let's see. The movie is Killdozer, and it's about a bulldozer killing people.
I'm sorry, that is wrong. I'll hand this to Erik now. Can you guess it, Erik?
I think I can. Possibly.
Who?
Is it Dark Knight of the Scarecrow starring Larry Drake, who's also in Sam Raimi's Darkman?
That is correct. You get 2 points.
I have never seen Darkman.
Well, you have
These questions are not horror related. You have to watch all kinds of other stuff.
Darkman is
a
horror movie, is it not?
Dark Knight of the Scarecrow is a slasher film, yes.
Well, that may be, but I don't know this Darkman movie y'all are talking about.
Oh.
Eric's.
I know slash.
I think it's a fix.
Okay.
What? So do I.
All right, Erik, you get door number 1, so here we go. We all know Jason Alexander was in 1981's
Swing.
The Burning. What?
Swing.
I'm sorry?
He said
Swing.
swing.
Okay. Let me go on now. We all know Jason Alexander was in 1981's The Burning before going on to fame with the TV sitcom Seinfeld. But the movie and the TV show are also linked, albeit not officially, by 2 words. Can you name those words?
Seinfeld and The Burning are linked by 2 words.
Yes, it's not an official link, but it's kind of one of those ironic links.
Crop C.
I'm sorry. Can you guess it, Justin?
Could you repeat the question?
Okay, we know that Jason Alexander was in 1981's The Burning before he went on to fame with the sitcom Seinfeld. But the movie and the TV show are also linked in a non-official kind of ironic way by 2 words. Can you name those 2 words?
Well, what I do know is that there was an episode of Seinfeld called The Burning, as a kind of a rib at Jason Alexander. But apart from that, I don't know. I presume that's not the answer, is it?
Actually, that is the answer, so you get a point.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So that's Justin at 1.5, Erik at 4, and Nathan is at 0.
Well, if you would ask some actual slasher movie questions, then this might be a little
All right, now we're moving on to some good stuff you might can guess. This is 1982.
Damn.
And
Okay.
who went first last time?
I don't know.
Let's see. Justin answered the last, so it's Erik went. Justin went first. So Nathan, you can go first. Door
Yeah.
number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
3.
Okay, now this is slasher movie taglines from 1982,
Okay.
and this tagline is "The last song you will ever hear."
Is it Blood Song?
That is correct.
See, now you're talking.
Now you have a point. Okay, Erik, door number 1 or door number 2?
Door number 1, please.
Door number 1. Okay, this is a tagline from a 1982 slasher film. He was terrifying in life, but even more in death.
Oh. 82. Terrifying in life, even more in death. Oh. What's that one called? The Horror Star?
That is correct. AKA Frightmare. So Erik is at 5 points. Way in the lead. And I guess that leaves Justin with door number 2.
Okay.
So Justin, this tagline is from a 1982 slasher film, and it says, "Who can survive its reign of terror?"
I know it. Who can survive its reign of terror? Can I have a clue?
Stop typing.
I'm typing. I'm not typing. I mean,
You just said I am.
no, well, I got it. Who can survive its reign of terror? 1982. So, no, it's really familiar, but I can't think of it. So I'll pass it over.
Okay, can you guess it, Nathan?
Is it Bloodbeat, isn't it?
That is Bloodbeat. You are correct.
I love taglines.
Now, that is sort of a cheat because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Bloodbeat was made in the 70s, but it wasn't released until 82. Am I right on that?
I don't know. Possibly.
Okay, but either way, it was released in 82, so there you go. Nathan is at 2, Justin is at 1.5, and Eric is at 5. Woohoo! All right, we're moving on to 1983, and this is dialogue from slasher films in 1983. So Nathan went first last time. So Eric, door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
I'll go door number 1 again, please.
Door number 1. Okay. This dialogue came from a 1983 slasher film. It says, "I can offer you tea, coffee, or yogurt."
I can offer you tea, coffee, or yogurt. That isn't even a clue.
You don't get a clue. You get the dialogue, and you have to guess the film.
I think you can afford to lose a point, Eric, can't you?
83. Sorry?
You can afford to lose a point.
Yeah. Okay, I can hardly think of anything from 1983. Sleepaway Camp.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Justin, can you name it?
1983. Well, I don't know the quote, so I was going to take a random stab in the dark. Is it? I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Is it? It's not. No, it's not. It wouldn't be. Not House of Evil.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. No. Okay. Nathan, can you guess?
Oh, sorry. 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Tea, coffee, or yogurt? I don't know. Mm-hmm. A Blade in the Dark?
That is correct.
Are you kidding
me? Technically, that is... it may not be a full-blown slasher film, but I included it anyway because they're both the same Galley and slasher films, so... But that's another point for Nathan.
It's a good guess.
And it's kind of funny because Justin said, "I'm going to take a stab in the dark," and he didn't get it.
Oh, you thought I was making it a little funny, didn't you?
All right. Let's see. Who are we at? Justin, door number 2 or door number 3?
Oh, door number 3, I think.
Okay. This quote is from a 1983 slasher film, and they say, "I'm not messing with that voodoo shit."
Does sound familiar, but I was going to say House of Death for some reason, but that was 82, wasn't it?
Yes. Is that your answer?
No. 1983. Oh, it's not. No, I was going to say Girls' School Screamers, but that wasn't 83 either, was it?
That is correct.
Oh, it is? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you are now at 2.5 points.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I guess that leaves Nathan with door number 2. And Nathan, the quote is, "Their bodies had been crushed, pounded to a pulp."
We're still in 83?
Yes.
Their bodies were crushed, pounded to a pulp.
I know
what
this
movie
one.
would somebody have done that? I'm gonna guess. I don't know. Sleepaway Camp.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Eric, can you guess it?
Well, it will be a guess, except in a clue. The Mutilator.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Justin.
Is it Sledgehammer?
It is Sledgehammer. You are correct. Now at 3.5 points.
Hey.
All right, and we're moving on to 84, which is the final year for this quiz until the next time. And I thought this might be a little fun. Now, Justin, you can't cheat because you obviously will have a tiny bit of an advantage here, but hopefully you will have forgotten all this. Basically, these are cheese ratings from Justin's website for movies from 1984, and you have to guess what cheese rating he gave this specific movie. There are 4 picks, 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100%. So,
okay.
I believe, who went first last time?
Me, so it's Justin first.
Justin, door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3? And remember, no cheating.
Of course. Door number 2, please.
Door number 2, you gave Evil Judgment what cheese rating?
I reckon 25%.
That is correct. That puts you at 4.5 points.
He probably remembers.
Sorry?
Well, I figured, it might be a long time that he forgot. But, okay, Nathan, door number 1 or door number 3?
3.
Number 3. He gave a cheese rating to Friday the 13th, the final chapter of 25, 50, 75, or 100.
Oh, Friday the 13th I didn't think was that cheesy. I don't know, 25?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Eric, can you guess?
Justin, how dare you?
Okay, well, I don't think it's that cheesy either, so it must be 50.
That is correct.
Yeah!
That puts you at 6 points. And so I guess, Eric, the final question for you would be door number 1.
Yeah.
And that question, that cheese rating, let's see. The movie The Deadly Intruder, he gave that cheese rating a...
I don't
for you, Eric.
I don't think I've seen Deadly Intruder.
It's got one of the Partridge family in it, so that should give you something.
So that's a clue to its cheesiness. 75?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes! Thank you for the clue, Justin.
Eric has won the first part of a 2-part quiz with 7 points. Justin came in number 2 with 4.5, and Nathan is dead last at number 3.
Well, how about next quiz? We talk about, stuff that happened when I was alive.
You weren't alive in 1984?
Hey, I'm fine with that last round. I'm talking about the first round, in this 1947 movie, how is it linked to this 19...
Yeah, but you chose Crazy Fat Apple.
You've won enough. Quit whining.
No, I can whine because Eric's not doing it, so somebody has to.
Yeah.
Well, Eric won.
It makes a nice change.
Yeah. Have to whine.
So then it's my turn.
All right. Well, maybe you'll do better luck next time.
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'll remember this when I come up with my quiz.
So congratulations, Eric, for your win.
Yes, and congratulations me for coming second. So, thank you, Joseph. And commiserations to Nathan. Thanks,
There'll be
Joseph.
no trips to the hospital for me. You should all be thankful for that.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
You shouldn't have an ulcer now. You should be okay.
Yeah. I'm cured.
Right. Well, we'll look forward to the second part of that quiz, as I'm sure you will, listening at home. It's time, I think, for the feature presentation. Half man, half beast, he lurks inside the mansion, killing all one by one as he follows the murderous instincts of his twisted mind. A macabre tale of 3 young people who spend a night in mysterious Garth Mansion as part of their initiation into Alpha Sigma Rho fraternity and its sister sorority. The murderous history of the mansion not only would make anyone shudder, but would keep anyone miles away from this place. Who will live to tell about Hell Night? Now, that's the back of the... If you can hear that, that's the back of the original UK video release, which I have, and obviously, as they usually had on the back of these things, they usually got them wrong, and obviously it wasn't 3 people who went to the house. It also says on the back it's produced by Erwin Yablang. So there you go. So Hell Night is as you heard the very lengthy trailer there. It's one of my favourite slash movies from the time because it is pure popcorn horror, and I would have loved to have seen it on the big screen. And the video box is not the original video box that I saw way back in the day. I think it says on the back here it was released on Media Home Entertainment in the UK in 1984, and it was probably around about that time. I remember going to video shop and with my dad and him letting me rent that because at that point, pretty much all the more grisly horrors had disappeared during the video nasty debacle, whereas Hell Night was one of the ones that was always seen to be in video shops, and I don't believe it got any cuts beyond what was cut out of it originally by the producers, which we can talk about a little bit later. But Hell Night, starring obviously Linda Blair, who was not exactly fresh off The Exorcist, but was just about to really, I kind of guess, just getting into stride with her exploitation horror career, which kind of took her to dizzying heights or dizzying lows, whichever way you look at it, in the 1980s, and also ably helped out by Vincent Van Patten, who played the Good Times jock, Suki Goodwin, who was the Brit, and Peter Barton. No, is it Peter Barton or Paul Barton?
It's Peter Barton.
Peter Barton, yes, who went on to star in Friday 13th, the final chapter. Hell Night, as I say, it's to my mind, it's probably one of the funnest slasher movies of the time, because it doesn't take itself too seriously. There's not. Although again, there's a sense of innocence about it, and it's a sense of fun. Whereas some films, from the time, which like films like Maniac and New Year's Evil and other films, and even though they have streaks of cheesiness running through them very, very wide, they also have that kind of mean-spiritedness about them. Whereas Hell Night doesn't, surprisingly, for a film where it's concerned with murdering young people, it still feels very kind of innocent. Not that when you look, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, at some of the reviews that came out at the time, which obviously hated it as much as they hated all the other slasher movies around that released during the early 1980s. But it's a film, I watched it again recently, obviously for the podcast, and it's as enjoyable now as it was when I saw it the first time, and I never tire of watching it. So I give Hell Night 2 big thumbs up. So I'd be interested to hear if there's any dissent amongst the group. So first up, Nathan, what are your thoughts on Hell Night?
No dissent here. I love Hell Night. I think it's an awesome movie. I remember the artwork, the picture of Linda Blair, the classic picture of her like clutching the gate, and that great tagline, pray for day. Just like sitting on the video shelves, I was practically begging my mother to let me rent it. And of course, eventually she gave in and rented it for me. And I've loved that movie ever since. I think it's really well done. Good acting. Linda Blair makes for a really good heroine, and Garth Manor is probably one of my favorite horror movie settings of all time. And I think we had a top 3 settings once, and that was my top 3. It's actually really, really a creepy house and grounds. And I love the gate that surrounds it with the, spikes on the top, especially the scene where they're trying to climb over the gate. That's a really good scene, although I still can't believe Linda Blair actually her character thought she could climb over it. She didn't quite make it. But, the killer's really good, and it's one of the first movies that I saw where it did the whole trick of, the killer holds the person's head and decapitates them and lets their body fall. Not the first movie that ever did it, but the first movie that I saw that ever did it. And I always thought that was a really neat scene. It's got a good soundtrack. I like the music. And, of course, what a way to dispatch the killer at the end. Very tense moment, and it's done extremely well. So, huge fan here.
Excellent. All right, I'm glad to hear it. Erik, what about you?
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan too. I mean, it has all the slasher hallmarks of 1981 that we know and love, but I think what sets it apart is the setting, like Nathan was saying. I like the sort of gothic mansion setting. It almost gives it a kind of giallo feel. It reminded me of Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye or Slaughter Hotel even, which we were discussing before, with this big grand mansion. But more than anything, the film really, really reminds me of Scooby-Doo. And I've said that before about urban legend, but it's particularly apt with Hell Night. I love the opening credit sequence, the way the words shimmer onto the screen. It sort of gives it to me the feel of a Scooby-Doo episode. And I think opening credits is a lost art. I think if you go to see any kind of modern blockbuster, there, more often than not, there tends to be no opening credit sequence. And I think it can add a lot to a movie. I love in Hell Night, I love the gimmicks, the the techniques that the fraternity are using to scare the pledges, like the hologram ghost, the speakers set up all around the house to, amplify screams in there. That's like pure, old man Kurzweil trying to scare the kids away from the abandoned fairground. It's that type of stuff. There's actually some spooky scenes in there as well that I really liked. When we see the shot of the killer staring at Suki Goodwin as she's lying in bed. I mean, it's quite brief, but it's very effective, I thought. And of course, the famous scene where the carpet you see slowly rising behind Marty and Jeff when they're lying in bed. And also the creepy underground lair is very atmospheric. And I love the jump scare when Seth thinks he's dispatched the killer at the end. And he walks back into the house, and he's shouting upstairs to Marty and Jeff. And of course, it doesn't end well. If there is a criticism for the film, possibly it's a bit too long. It's 101 minutes, which I suppose is lengthy by 1981 slasher terms. They tended to be 80 to 90 minutes, but that's a very slight criticism. The other criticism, I suppose, is Linda Blair. Now, I really do love Linda Blair, and I thought she was sensational in The Exorcist, like most people did. Her acting in this is a bit dicey at times, I think. But I mean, it suits the jokey tone of the film. It doesn't bother me in any way. But I mean, if I was to look for criticisms, I would say that her acting isn't the best. For me, the one who steals the film is Vincent Van Patten as the Joker Seth. I think he's brilliant in the film. And he was like, we talked before about characters that we wanted to see live in films, and I think he would be one of them. I mean, he's kind of set up as an obnoxious Joker, but he sort of morphs into a hero towards the end, although he ends up being dispatched, spoiler alert. But no, I love Hell Night. Great movie.
Excellent. Okay, I just meant when you said Seth, it was just that little in joke, wasn't it? With Suki Goodwin's character keeps on calling him Wes.
Call him Wes, yeah.
How about you, Joseph?
Oh, it's unanimous all around. I really love Hell Night, but I do have a question. These people go into this manor and they get killed by this, this hulking deformity. But what I'm wondering is, how come the people who set up all the equipment inside, like all the speakers and the holograms and all that stuff, how come they didn't get killed? How did they manage to avoid the killer? I mean, it had to have taken a while to set all that stuff up. I mean, they just got really lucky, don't you think?
No, I get the
day and he was asleep.
I got the impression they've done this ritual before as well, which makes me wonder why it hasn't happened before.
Yeah, exactly. But I really love Hell Night. As far as college students being chased around a gothic mansion by a murderous deformity, I mean, nothing really beats this film for more than two reasons in my mind. I love the phony decapitation in the cellar that Nathan had talked about. I mean, I think it's a really neat scene, but if you pay close attention to it, it really does look fake. But at the same time, I really love it. It's really kitschy. But I mean, I guess it was a cellar or a dungeon of some sort. But anyway. I think one of the big pluses for Hell Night is that all of the characters are extremely likable, and I've always maintained that a slasher film is only as good as its characters, and you have to like them. Otherwise, when they die, who cares? But Hell Night has it covered as far as likability goes, and I think one of the best scenes is the moment that Erik mentioned is the rug covering the trap door. It's slowly coming off the ground and the killer, being underneath it. I really got a jolt out of that the first time I saw that. And because it takes a few seconds to notice it because it's kind of dark. When you notice it, you're like, woo, that's creepy. But it's a really effective moment in the film. But yeah, you also have to give props to some of the costuming in the film. I mean, I know a lot of these people wore, kind of costumes. Seth was dressed as, I guess, Robin Hood or something, or Peter Pan, something like that. But I have to give props, especially to Linda Blair's, for two reasons. I mean, maybe you don't have to, but you get the point. Yeah, it does have a great ending. I love the showdown between Linda Blair and the killer, and I guess this is more spoiler, as Nathan had mentioned, the way the killer is dispatched on the fence, the fence post, impaling him, and he's just hanging there. I love that shot. I mean, it's one of the best, endings of any slasher film I've ever seen, and the showdown is just, incredible. I think overall, maybe Erik is right. I think the film maybe could have been about 10 minutes shorter, but, that's a minor quibble. I think Hell Night is wonderful overall. Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, I was the only thing that surprised me. I wondered, have any of you guys listened to the commentary by?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And they talk about, say, you know, it was obligatory. We'll talk a little bit more about background shortly, but saying it's obligatory to have that kind of shock ending. And I was kind of surprised that they didn't go for that one last shock. Even now, although I've seen this film so many times, I still expect the killer to shoot out and grab one of Linda Blair's breasts or something, or you know, or kind of his eyes to open or something. And they don't go for it, do they? It kind of ends on a very melancholic.
It's very somber.
Yeah, which is surprising given the... I mean, I think it works in the context of the film, but given the context of the film, in some ways I would have expected more of a popcorn jolt. And they actually say in the commentary that those kind of jolts at the end of horror movies were de rigueur since Carrie. And obviously that's what they were going with the Jason jumping out of the water in Friday the 13th at the end of that film. It was a kind of a Carrie moment. So it's kind of... So I was surprised they didn't go with that, But yeah, no, I thought it was, you know, a really, really good, fun film. And obviously, I would have loved to have got a Linda Blair or Tom DeSimone on to talk about the film, but unfortunately, we weren't successful in getting anyone. But if you have got the Anchor Bay release from, I don't know, how long ago did that come out? It must have been about 10 years.
That was one of the first, it was one of the first DVDs I ever bought. So it was about 1999. So
right,
it's about
okay.
14 years old now, yeah.
Wow, okay. So it's still a really good commentary, isn't it?
Because it has Linda Blair, Tom DeSimone, Erwin Yablans, and Bruce Cohen Curtis, who wrote the film, yeah.
I love the part where she actually screams during a jump scare. In the commentary. It's an awesome part.
Yeah. I think it's funny that I don't know who one of you mentioned it. I kind of lost track, but one of you mentioned that Seth is constantly be called Wes by the Suki Goodwin character. Now, didn't she? She slept with him in the film, and yet she can't remember his name.
Well, she didn't sleep with him, did she? Because they kept on sort of lots of heavy petting without actually doing anything. And of course, and again, it says in the commentary that. That neither Vincent Van Patten or Suki Goodwin were very keen on the sex scene, and they both kind of nixed the nudity, because nudity, I think, was written into it, and obviously Suki Goodwin was meant to get naked, maybe Vincent Van Patten was as well, and they both didn't want to do it, so they just ended up having this kind of endless kind of heavy petting session, didn't they?
I thought it was kind of implied that maybe they had just kind of, been at it all night, and I figured, during the time she might have got his name right at least once.
Yes, yeah.
But I thought that was kind of amusing.
Distracted by his fantastic boxer shorts.
Yes.
But she was my kind of party girl. She had, they say in the commentary, they said back then, nobody even bat an eyelid about implied drug use in horror movies. Whereas now, if you had someone's, you do get it, but it's not as de rigueur as it was in the early 80s. And not only did she have Quaaludes, Jack Daniels, but didn't she have cocaine taken off her as well, and something else?
Yeah.
So she was a real kind of good time party girl, wasn't she? So
but getting back to the likability of the characters. I mean, we've all mentioned that, even Erik said that Vincent Van Patten's Seth character is probably his favorite character in the film, and I would have to agree because, if you watched Hell Night today, say it was made in this time frame, the characters would be unlikable, especially him, since he's sort of a stereotypical jock character. But in here, I like how he is this stereotypical jock character, but at the end he kind of mans up and he tries to save his friends, and that makes him so likable. So when he actually dies during that one jump shock you were talking about, it's kind of disheartening because you like him so much. And a lot of those movies today don't do that right, and that's another reason the Hell Night works so well, because I really, really love the characters, especially him. I think they just really did a good job here.
It's even with the characters, the three characters, including Jenny Newman, who was obviously went on to the heady heights of the Australian slasher Nightmares,
aka Stage Fright.
Exactly, yes. Even those two characters with the two guys and her who set up, basically, if you haven't seen the film, and I'm sure you have if you're listening to this, but if you haven't seen the film, the whole idea is to get the pledges into Garth Manor and to scare them with contraptions set up around the house, with ringing bells and disembodied voices and screams coming from speakers. But even the people are setting that up, but they're not. Even the guy who's always giggling is a little bit annoying, but they're still not that unlikable, are they? And in fact, again, on the commentary, I think Owen Yablens was saying how people say to him, I really didn't want you to kill those people. And I think sometimes it's a testament. I find some of the best horror movies are when you actually feel that you could actually watch the whole film without anyone dying, because you're enjoying being with the characters so much.
I'm sorry, not to get into spoilers for another movie. I mean, it's a movie we've covered, but it reminds me of April Fool's Day, which is a movie where the characters don't die, and you don't want them to die because they're so likable. I think Hell Night has that kind of feel where you don't want the characters to die, but unfortunately here they actually do die. Yes,
yeah, no, absolutely. But I think it's a testament to why it's like we said it so many times before. If it was remade, it was made now, and it was. There was, if you look at IMDb, a few years back, it was talking about a remake of it. I don't know, that obviously didn't come to pass, as far as I'm aware, unless it got remade and turned into something else.
I'm sure it will eventually.
Possibly, yeah. I kind of guess it's, I think the Sorority Row kind of ended that whole remake sort of bonanza, didn't it? Because that kind of bombed at the box office, and then they because Hollywood's so fickle when it comes to...
And ironically, I think the Sorority Row remake was one of the better remakes of 80s slasher films, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. I don't know why. I mean, apparently, I've heard... Have you seen... I'm just slightly getting off subject, but on subject, but the Texas Chainsaw sort of remake in 3D...
No, it was released this weekend, but
it was released this weekend.
Just as an aside, it made $10 million on its first day, and they're projecting a $21 to $25 million opening weekend. So that's like boffo box office business. So maybe that will kind of bring theatrical slasher films back. I certainly hope so.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I think that someone mentioned that on the forums. I mean, apparently people who've seen it, like Hambone, and people who've watched it, and Body Boy, have said that it's pretty awful. But also...
Actually, I think Body Boy liked it.
Well, I think he liked it. He said it in a
Mr. Palmer didn't like it, of course. He doesn't really like anything. No. Body Boy did like it. I think Farmer Vincent may have said it was just okay, but I think it's kind of got like a C rating on the Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes, maybe.
I think it's supposed to be like a slasher. It's more like even more of a slasher movie than the remakes from 10 years ago were. But I just wondered. I was just curious because obviously, Nathan, they're your favourite movies, aren't they? But you got any burning desire to see this?
Texas Chainsaw.
Are you going to go and see this?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, even if it's awful, like I have to. It's a Texas Chainsaw movie.
Yeah, I've seen them all at the theater. So not all of them, but most.
I was about to say, you saw 74.
No. I've seen the last few at the theater, and I've seen them all, and I love the series. So I really do need to see this, especially in 3D. I mean, I may or may not like it, but if I can help, add to the box office to get it, more slasher films in the theater, more power to it.
Well, they were talking about how they removed the word massacre from the title, didn't they?
And I mentioned on the forum that my theory was that after the whole Dark Knight fiasco, Dark Knight Rises fiasco, and this whole Sandy Hook, massacre, which was terrible. I think you have these politicians who are basically saying, "Oh, it's the media's fault," and I don't agree with that. I think you can't blame cinematic violence on real life violence. I mean, some people might see something like that and take heed, but I think it's just a problem. It's a mental problem. It's not the movie's fault. But my theory, not to ramble on too long, is that basically they removed the word massacre because they didn't want to, say, "Ooh, they're releasing a movie about kids getting killed called Massacre" after this whole tragedy. So I think that's one of the reasons why it was removed. Is just Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Yeah.
If this was the 80s in UK and Ireland, Justin, it would probably just be released then as Texas 3D.
Texas 3D.
Yeah, because we weren't allowed to have the word chainsaw in films back then.
Or massacre.
Really? You weren't?
No, because Slumber Party.
Well, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers was famously
just called something like Happy Chainsaw Go to Heaven Part 2 3D. They'd still take chainsaw out?
Yeah, well, they took out of. Well, as Erik was just saying, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers with Linnea Quigley. They took the word chainsaw out, so it became Hollywood Hookers. And
I don't even sound like a horror movie.
Well, exactly. Well, I think it had a chainsaw and a silhouette on the video box. But Slumber Party Massacre was released at the cinema here as Slumber Party Murders. And on video.
So let me ask you then: if in the Ireland and in the UK you couldn't have Chainsaw or Massacre, was the film just called Texas?
No, it was called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but then that's when it was coming out in the cinema.
It was banned, wasn't it?
No, it was. I suppose it was unavailable. I think rather than banned.
Well, it was only released at the cinema in certain parts of the country, because back then certain councils could ban it, and most councils banned it. I think it was released in Westminster in London, but and it came out on video before certification. But it was when they brought in the certification of videos, it didn't appear for many, many years, and it was a really big deal when it was re-released at the cinema. Back in late
90s,
late 90s,
yeah.
Before it came out on video. I'm not even sure if it came out on video then, but it was a real bête noire for the British Board of Film Censors.
Same with The Exorcist.
Yes,
about the same time, it was finally made widely available after a long time in exile.
But just taking it back to Hell Night, I mean, just as an aside, as I said before, this was a film that never troubled the BBFC, as far as I'm aware. And the video, when it came out in 1984, I don't think it had any cuts that I'm aware of.
I think I heard that there might have been one cut to the scene where the spikes go through the killer's chest at the end.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
that was all.
Right, okay. But otherwise, it got through relatively unscathed, didn't it? And they say again, I think on the commentary, and I think they're wrong about this, where they're saying there weren't ratings back then. I'm not quite sure why they didn't think there were ratings in 1981, but they said today the film would get a PG-13, which maybe it would in the States. But one other thing
I would assume so. I mean, it's not overly graphic, as far as today's standards are concerned.
No, not at all. But one of the scenes I really like, I think Hell Night probably captures the frat party in my mind of what a frat party. I'm sure were there frat parties like that? I don't know. I presume neither of you have ever been in a fraternity, have you, Nathan and Joseph?
No, I've seen. There was a friend of mine used to live across the street from a frat house, and they actually had a frat party one night when I was over there, and it was kind of raucous, but I don't think it was in the whole grandeur of Hell Night. But no, I think Hell Night, like you said, yeah, I like its frat party. I think it's one of the better ones. It goes along with stuff like Killer Party and Rush Week. I think they kind of tie in. They all have that same feel.
It just looks so much fun, doesn't it? I mean, it looks so much more fun than Terror Train's frat party, where they just stood around a bonfire, aren't they? Chatting.
Yeah, waiting to get on the train in the freezing cold.
Yeah, but I love the whole, because they, again, on the commentary, they said they did shot all of that in one night, I think, didn't they? And they said it would have cost a huge amount of money to do now, but back then they just did it, and it just looks not like $1 million, but it's the film itself, I think, looks really, really good, and they keep on comparing it to Barry Lyndon with the what's his name, Kubrick film, the one that was shot famously by
Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon, sorry, yeah, Barry Lyndon.
I have a connection to Barry Lyndon, actually, the film, not the person. Ooh. My brother-in-law's farm was used as a filming location for Barry Lyndon for a certain sequence. Yeah.
Okay.
And the payment they got.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
This was 1975. The film was released, so it was probably 74 when they were filming. And the payment they got was a top-of-the-range color television.
Oh, really? Excellent.
I'm a little out of the loop as far as Blu-ray releases, but has Hell Night been released on Blu-ray?
It hasn't, no. And it's one that we kind of hope, obviously, does come out on Blu-ray at some point soon.
Yeah, I'm finally a full-on Blu-ray convert now. It took me a while, but I'm getting there.
Okay. Excellent. I mean,
I'd love to have Hell Night on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean the old Anchor Bay. I think the transfer from the Anchor Bay, because obviously I've got my Blu-ray player upscales DVDs as well, and it still looks pretty good on my 32-inch. What?
We haven't had a Kenneth Williams. You might as well go ahead and get it in there.
What's that?
The first one, we haven't had a Kenneth Williams. You might as well get that in there. It should be the first one of 2013.
Here we go.
Matron, please. I'm not that kind of doctor.
Right.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah. Right. Well, back to Hell Night. Is there anything else we want to say about it before we move
I just want to say I love the way Seth finds it so easy to, pilfer loads of firearms from the police station and just skip out the window.
Yes. Yeah, these are terrible police officers.
I know.
On their armory. I just want to say, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's always changing. I don't know if Hell Night would be in my top 10, but I would say it'd definitely be in my top 20.
Interesting question. What about you, Nathan? Would it be in your top 10?
I don't know. Probably not top 10, but I'd say top 20.
What about you, Eric?
Yeah, definitely not top 10, I don't think, but yeah, top 20, I'd say, yeah.
I think I would say it would be in my top 10, but then again, I chose it. So,
Interesting.
But, I mean, you got to realize my top 10 probably consists of things like, Splatter University and...
Criminally Insane Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's my top 10, so...
I have a question for Joseph.
Yes.
Linda Blair's boobies, would they be in your top 10?
Oh, they're in my top 2.
Oh,
they
are your top 2. Yes.
Oh, I'm a red-blooded, heterosexual. What can I say? I love Linda Blair's cleavage.
There is one shot, wasn't there? She says again. I keep on going back to the commentary, but it's worth listening to. When she's talking about Suki Goodwin, and she's saying about how they set up shots and how they say just turn your body this way so we can see your cleavage and blah blah blah. And of course,
well, good for them.
In Hell Night, there's so many because the dress that Linda Blair's got on is kind of cleavage tastic, isn't it? And in so many shots, there's one where she screams and she bends over and her bosoms are penduliously, go back and forth. And so I can imagine they're just going, okay, Linda, just get your boobs in a little bit more to the left, a bit to the right. So.
I really do love Linda Blair. I may have mentioned this before on the podcast, but I've been within like 10 or 15 feet of her at a convention. I didn't get to meet her because her line was really long, and I really wish I would have had a chance to talk to her because I think she's one of the better horror movie actresses out there. I think I've always liked her. Even if her reputation kind of, whatever that word is I'm looking for, exceeds her, supersedes her. I don't know what the word is, but anyway, yeah, that's it. I'm sorry, I'm a little blank right now, but I've heard she can be a little testy, or I've heard she can be really genial. But I really did want to meet her, but I haven't had a chance. So I'm hoping she comes back to another convention soon.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear her talk about it a bit more. Lovely to get her on the show, but a little bit of a tall order, unfortunately.
You never know. Never
know. So, okay, well, we can talk a little bit more about the movie, but shall we just skip on to some background and trivia about the film? Eric, do you want to go first? Have you got anything for us?
Okay, well, Vincent Van Patten, who was my favourite character in the film, he was previously... with the exact same haircut in one of my favourite episodes of Wonder Woman called Mind Stealers from Outer Space, which is where the evil Skrill, which are basically very, very skinny people in glittery leotards, and they attached hard-boiled eggs to people's heads and suck out their minds, and then Wonder Woman comes to the rescue and stops them.
She used her golden lariat on them?
Of course, yeah. Yeah,
she forced him to tell the truth.
Deflects bullets and stuff, yeah. And she's got great cleavage as well, just like Linda Blair.
Yes, she does. Oh, my.
His uncle is Timothy Van Patten, who in Hollywood, in a bizarre Hollywood twist, is actually 2 years younger than him. But Timothy Van Patten was he was the lead thug, I think, in Class of 1984. And he's a director now. What else do we have? The filming location was a place called the Kimberly Clark Estate, which was where the exteriors were shot. The interiors were done elsewhere. But that is an estate that's still open to the public. So if you're in the California area, you can go visit it. An interesting uncredited role in the film belonging to a certain Jean Hasselhoff. Can you guess who she's the little sister of?
Byron Hasselhoff?
No, it's actually David Hasselhoff, who used to be a star in the 80s. He was in a series called Knight Rider and one called Baywatch. She has an uncredited role as a party guest in there. Frank Darabont, I didn't realise, was a production assistant on the movie. This must have been one of his very first credits. Of course, he went on to big things with Shawshank Redemption, The Mist, and all that. Of course, Chuck Russell is a producer. He went on to... Didn't he do Dream Warriors? Or am I mistaken?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And, of course, one of my favourite 80s movies, the remake of Blob.
He did another movie I like, not to get off the subject, called I believe it's called Resurrection with Christopher Lambert. It's about a serial killer.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's called Resurrection. No, it's a mid to late 90s movie, but it's actually pretty good.
He also...
was that Russell Mulcahy? That's Russell Mulcahy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he also directed friend of the podcast, Arnie, in Eraser.
Yay! One of my favorite Arnie movies. I like Eraser.
Yeah. Makeup effects were done by Ken Horn. I thought they were quite effective, actually. And Ken Horn also went on to work on Halloween 4. He'd previously worked on Tourist Trap and Hills of Eyes, and he subsequently worked on the Hills of Eyes sequel. This is the original Wes Craven ones, and on Wes Craven's Swamp Thing as well. I don't know if that... Oh, yeah, as you said, Jenny Newman, she was also in Nightmares, the Australian slasher movie. She later went on to appear in V, which was the super cheesy but very effective mid-80s.
The Alien Invasion series, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. Mm.
They remade that recently.
Yeah, but I'd say they probably sapped all the cheesiness out of it, I'd say.
Yeah, it's all serious kind of...
Oh, and my last bit of trivia is that Tom DeSimone, the director, is the brother of Bob DeSimone, who is one of Joseph's favourite actors. Who is he, Joseph? Remind us.
He was Billy from Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
And he's the one who says, Lana!
My favorite character in the entire film.
Yeah. What's she doing?
I love you, Billy. Yeah. Billy is great.
He had snow flurries up his nose.
Yeah. Because it's cloudy in the mountains.
Yep, indeed, it certainly was.
Indeed. Well, thank you, Erik. Nathan, do you have anything for us?
No.
No? Okay. Yeah. Well, Joseph, how about you?
Nothing much. Eric's pretty much mentioned all of them. I mean, I used to have the one sheet for Hell Night a long time ago, and it was actually one I had that was water damaged in a flood because I'd left it sitting on the floor and it got water, and I was really upset about that. But that's pretty much all I have. I mean, Eric's named all that. But before we go any further, I had a question about the movie that I'd forgot when we were actually discussing the movie, but I'm still a little hazy on this. Were the Garth family, was there more than one? I mean, I always get a little fuzzy. I mean, were some of them still alive? Because I can't tell because some of the shots are kind of dark, and I can't tell if, the father was still alive and there were like 2 or 3 killers in the house.
I think it was 2 brothers, wasn't it? That's what...
I thought it was might have been his father and his son.
I think
it's never really clear, is it? So.
No, it's never. Yeah, I can never tell if it's just 1 or 2.
Well, the other thing, I mean, because the bit that for me doesn't really work is the ghost.
I love the ghost.
Do you like the ghost? Well, I just think it's a little bit too hokey. It's a little bit too hokey because there's nothing else supernatural in the film, is there? Apart from that one bit.
It is a little kind of out of context, or it kind of comes out of left field a little bit.
It's a hologram, though.
No, it's not, isn't it? I think it's meant to be a real ghost, isn't it?
Which one?
Well, the one walks towards Linda Blair.
Towards Linda Blair. It's a hologram. Don't they work out? It's a hologram.
They didn't have holograms back in 1981. They don't have holograms now.
Don't they work out it's a camera or something? No.
No.
Am I mistaken?
So. Nathan? What do you think? Was it a real ghost, or was it part of the setup?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I always assumed it was part of the setup.
Yeah, so did I.
I thought
maybe I imagined the scene, but I thought they discovered a camera behind or something.
I thought it was a ghost as well.
Oh.
Because there's the bit when Suki Goodwin looks into the mirror and goes, "Those quaaludes are murder on my skin," and the guy's behind it, and he's got that mask with a light, and she sees it through the mirror. That's obviously, a setup. But I thought because I presumed it was a real ghost, and I thought it was just a bit incongruous with the rest of the film. But I'd be interested to hear what our listeners at home think. Was it a real ghost or not? But I've just got a few bits and pieces here. Jenny Newman, it says on the commentary, I mean, this is going back 14 years ago now, is now a palm reader somewhere. So you can have your palm read by the woman who didn't see it might be a bad career move to do Nightmares. But there you go. Suki Goodwin apparently moved to San Francisco, but she was the daughter of somebody famous on British TV, and I can't remember who it is now, but apparently she was spotted on a documentary last year talking about her father.
I spotted her on that.
Oh, you did see her? What did she look like?
Yeah, no, she was. I'm trying to remember now, but like, she's still in good shape. She hasn't like withered or anything.
No.
I was just got a surprise. It was a documentary about the British comedian Bob Monkhouse, and
that's right, yeah.
one of his comedy writing partners was Suki Goodwin's father. So she was being interviewed, and I was like, "Hey, it's Let's Party Girl from Hell Night."
Did she still use that name?
Yeah.
Oh, she did. Okay, because
Yeah.
I can't. I've tried to.
Because I wouldn't have
recognised
recognised her except the caption came up saying it was Suki Goodwin. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Ah, Suki. Sorry.
What else we got here? Peter Barton didn't want to do the film, and had to be persuaded to by Linda Blair, and he then went on to do obviously Friday the 13th final chapter, and has apparently been working ever since. But apparently he'd done lots of work before that when he was younger, and he was going to retire from acting, but got talked.
I did get to meet Peter Barton. He's one of the nicest celebrities of slasher films I've ever met ever. I mean, he talked to me for like almost 20 minutes. I mean, he was so nice, and he's a really good piano player, by the way.
Okay.
He was actually playing a piano in the lobby at the hotel at the convention, and he's really good. I was surprised at how good he is.
Did he talk about Hell Night at all? Do you remember?
No, actually, we spent the whole time talking about the powers of Matthew Starr and it being, I think it was a Friday night or a Tuesday night lineup with the Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay.
And he wished that, he basically wished that, they could have sapped off the popularity of the Dukes of Hazzard and gone on for longer. But, the powers of Matthew Starr didn't last that long, unfortunately.
So what was the convention? Was it a horror convention?
It was a Monstermania, but he was there. I guess he was, for Friday the 13th Part 4. That was most of the pictures he had. His autographs were mostly Friday the 13th Part 4. He had a couple from Hell Night, but
okay.
We didn't really talk about any of his movies. We just talked about his TV show.
Okay, well, fair enough. Okay, well, that's interesting. And just some of the other bits and pieces I found out about the film. Well, actually, another little bit of trivia about Vincent Van Patten. Did you know that he was an ace tennis pro as well? And in 1981, he beat John McEnroe.
No way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was an ace tennis pro for a while anyway. And the film was filming I think it began filming in late 1980 and wrapped in early 1981 and was certainly finished filming by beginning of February. Apparently the sex scene, or the kind of faux sex scene between Vincent Van Patten and Suki Goodwin was happened on New Year's Eve. And because I think they were running over, so they had to film over some of the holidays. And apparently I think it was probably the girlfriend of Vincent Van Patten was outside waiting for him to do the sex scene, and apparently she was really unhappy that he was doing it. And so it made it really awkward, apparently. What else have we got here? Owen Yablans, who obviously was the man who made huge amounts of money on Halloween, was one of the producers of this film. Now, he thought that this was going to be a massive, massive hit, and was surprised when the film didn't get picked up by a major, and it got put out by Compass International Pictures, who put out Halloween as well, didn't they? And
do you know what the box office was for Hell Night?
It was around about 3 million, I think, total. So it was a bit of a box office disappointment, but it did really, really well. It's one of the films, because around the time, Friday the 13th was one of the first kind of low-budget horror movies that had been released in kind of wide distribution, because before that, to keep costs down, they would do kind of regional releases across the States. And Hell Night got released in... apparently, it says it got released over Labor Day weekend in Los Angeles and New York, and it scared up about $1.5 million rentals, and apparently was quite a big success there. But it seemed to have kind of stuttered a bit after that, because it didn't. It brought in around about 3 million, I think, is from what I can tell. Apparently, it was a massive hit in Japan. Unsurprisingly, I think most horror movies were at the time. And Linda Blair apparently went on a tour around the country. She, in July 1981, so just ahead, a month or so ahead of the release of the film, she did a 2-week 5-city personal appearance tour in conjunction with premiere performances of Hell Night to different territories. But I've never seen any. That was from Variety, so I've never seen any mention of that elsewhere. But thought that was quite interesting. What else did you do? As we talked about before, the film was shot in 3 locations. With the outside of Garth Manor was in Redlands, California, and the inside was filmed at a residential home in Pasadena in California, where they took all the furniture out and put all the kind of gothic furniture in. And the frat party apparently is filmed in an apartment lobby in Los Angeles. The mansion used as Garth Manor is now a museum in Redlands in California, so you can go and see that. Apparently they had a real problem with the owl, which I think there was an owl, wasn't it, that flew at Jenny Newman's character. And it alluded to it on the commentary that they all had a bit of a meltdown trying to get the owl to fly properly. In the end, they had to settle for the owl flying at an angle or something. Sorry?
Who?
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 Joke.
A joke. Joke. Okay.
You're gonna catch on that.
Yes, a bit slow there, but the underground tunnels were apparently it was just 2 corridors which they would run up and down endlessly by using different camera angles. So they literally, although I think it was pretty well done, wasn't it? It looked pretty effective.
Yeah. Like Nathan said, that Garth Manor is just the way they shot that film. I mean, it's one of the best locations ever. Yeah. However they shot it.
Mm. And the other thing, and I've said this before on the podcast, and I can't remember when, but the body, when they find the bodies, and you've got Suku Goodwin sat around the table, and obviously it's very similar to Happy Birthday to Me, but obviously this was filmed. It's probably filmed around about the same time as Happy Birthday to Me, and obviously that old slasher standby of finding all the people put around the table, all the dead bodies. Now, the one body which was the to the right of a woman, which is quite desiccated and has the rat runs across the face, I'm pretty sure is the same body model that was used for the dead mother in Happy Birthday to Me at the table, because they look identical. I have to do a freeze frame by frame, but if they look like they are exactly the same mannequin that were used in both, so possibly they were. I don't know. Apparently there was no hedge maze there, so they actually had to bring one in or sort of create a kind of hedge maze at the place. Apparently the gates in front of the building were over a mile away from the front door, so they had to do some kind of visual trickery with that.
Lots of movie magic for Hell Night.
Exactly, yes. And apparently Peter Barton really hurt himself when he fell down the stairs, when he was pulled down the stairs. So him limping throughout the rest of the film wasn't put on, it was actually in physical pain. As evidence that the film wasn't a massive success for Owen Yablans, it was the last ever film released by Compass International Pictures. So I think it's a kind of an indication that it wasn't a big hit for him. And lastly, I can guess, is that the mansion that was used, the Garth Manor, was used in Fleetwood Mac's 1987 music video Big Love. So there you go. So that's my Hell Night trivia. Anything else we'd like to say about the movie, or we've exhausted?
Well, I don't remember which website, but I remember a long time ago reading someone had a top 10 worst horror film list, and I think for the majority, I kind of agreed on some of them. They had some really bad films in there, but their number 1 was Hell Night, and I never understood that.
No.
It's so bizarre, isn't it?
Really. Yeah. Speaking of bad reviews, I'm looking at a 1981, I suppose, issue of Starburst, which is a UK horror and science fiction magazine.
I like Starburst. I like the strawberry the best.
Yes. Well, anyway, Alan Jones reviewed Hell Night in it, and he was actually usually quite lenient with slasher films, but in this case he wasn't, and he sums up his review by saying Hell Night is sheer hell to sit through as far as I'm concerned. And he has very little positive to say, although on the previous page he waxes lyrical about the Boogeyman, the Uli Lommel film.
It's funny. Alan Jones is quite funny about films, isn't he? Because he says he adores Friday the 13th, but thinks Friday the 13th Part 2 is a kind of is awful.
Yeah, weird.
Taste is very subjective, after all.
Yep, of course. I mean, the other reviews. There was a couple of reviews which I posted on the Hysteria Lives Facebook site, which I've reposted some, and they, as you can imagine, the reviews are pretty scathing mostly. What they did. Sorry?
I said, "Oh,
I know."
Yeah.
But there was one that praised it, with faint, or damned it with faint praise by saying it was most horror movies today. They're talking about 1981 are bath bag movies, as in bath being sick, and one sort of said this was only a half bath movie. So it wasn't as gory as some of the others. But a couple of people said that they saw it for what it was, which was kind of a fun slasher, sort of boo machine type affair, which is good, which is fair enough. But I think by this point, so many critics were so fed up with slash movies, which for us it was like fantastic. Although all of us
30 years later, I'm still not fed up with them.
Well, no, I know. I think it was just that they were, none of us were old enough to see them at the cinema at this time, even me. But in the States, they were coming out every week. Pretty much. It would be like I just posted a.
See, that would be my heaven, having a slasher movie every week at the cinema.
Yeah. But that's what seemed to be happening. I mean, I posted quite a few of these old ads from the States, and it's like, finishing Thursday, My Bloody Valentine, opening Friday, Funhouse, and it was just kind of just constant. And it, obviously, for us, that would have been heaven. But I think for these critics who would rather be watching On Golden Pond or something a bit more highbrow, they would probably hated it. And obviously did, and so some of them had had policies where they wouldn't even review slash movies anymore. So, but there you go. Anything else we want to say about Hell Night before we move on to some feedback?
I love you, Hell Night.
Yes. Well, I think it's a thumbs up, isn't it?
Yeah. I was just going to say that barf review that appeared in the New York Times. I found that on the internet as well, and it describes Miss Blair is rather throaty and rather vacant, which is a bit unfair, I think.
That is a bit unfair. Yes.
I wouldn't say she's vacant. She takes up lots of space. That's a compliment.
Yes. Okay. But Nathan, if you got anything else, would you agree it's a thumbs up?
It's thumbs up, and it's not related to Happy Hell Night, by the way.
No, that's sometimes.
It's not.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Erik, would you like a thumbs up?
I would love a thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it is. It's a big thumbs up for me. And actually, speaking of Happy Hell Night, I once went to the video shop, video rental place, and I couldn't find Hell Night on the shelf, but I knew they had it, and I asked for Hell Night, and they dug it out from the archive. And when I got home, it was Happy Hell Night.
Ooh.
Which I didn't even bother watching. I went back and said, excuse me, I wanted Hell Night with Linda Blair.
Were you kind of stamping your foot?
I was having one of my Inga moments.
Like Taffy in Female Trouble, or Christina Crawford.
Like who?
Christina Crawford in Mommy Dearest.
I thought you meant, do you not mean Joan Crawford, no?
No, her daughter. You must have seen Mommy Dearest.
Oh, yeah, I have, but I thought, why does she have moments in I haven't seen Mommy Dearest in a few years.
Her daughter, the one who wrote Mommy Dearest, she had, a great scene when Faye Dunaway says, I knew you'd know where the boys and the booze were, which is something we always keep on quoting back to each other. But talking of bad movies, actually, we watched, I introduced a couple of our friends to Showgirls.
I've never seen Showgirls. Is it fun?
Have you not?
Yes.
No.
Wow, Erik, that's your homework.
Okay.
Yes.
You must see it.
Yeah.
It is so awful.
It's so awful. It's got this classic line at the end where one of them says to the main character, "It must be strange not having people come on you." So you've got to see it. Watch the movie to see it in context. That is
who was the British actress in that? And it was supposed to be her big launch pad to a glittering career.
Well, she wasn't British. She was. It was the girl from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was a British actress in it as well.
Elizabeth Berkley.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
Elizabeth
the one.
Berkley.
Yeah, she'd Yeah, because it was infamous. It kind of completely destroyed her career. Because she
Well,
spent.
do you remember the scene where they're teaching her the choreography and she watches it one time and happens to pick up everything?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense. Like, you can't pick up choreography that fast.
No,
I can.
no. Can you?
Can you, Eric?
Yeah.
Well, Eric is the variable here.
Well, then I need Eric to watch that scene and to take a video of himself doing that choreography.
For next time, yes. I keep on now having mental images of Eric as Nomi Malone in Showgirls in all of those scenes, like the one with what's his name in the pool.
Oh yes, the classic.
The lap dancing.
Yeah.
So Eric, you've got to watch the movie. Watch the movie and
I will.
report back to us because I think you'll love it. You will absolutely love it. And it's got 2 Susie songs in it as well.
No way.
Yeah.
See, that's why it's so bad.
Eric. I mean, Joseph, you can't.
Come on, that was a good one, admit it.
No, it wasn't. Okay, well,
what are the Susie songs?
New Skin, which is the last ever one they recorded. So not only did Showgirls destroy Elizabeth Berkley's career, he might have destroyed theirs, but and Not Forgotten from...
I actually like that song a lot.
Yeah, that was from their last studio album. So, okay.
128 minutes. Ooh.
Oh,
but it's 128 glorious minutes.
Okay.
Eric, you will adore it. You've got to watch it next thing. You've got to watch it. You'll love it. So,
indeed.
Okay, well, let's move on to feedback, shall we? We've actually got some voicemails this episode. Shall we start off with a New Year's message from Patrick from Scream Queens?
Let's do it.
Okay, Here we go. And I haven't listened to it, Patrick, because he said if I did, he's going to send me a secret recording of Yoko Ono and Toya duetting. And I said I didn't want
Is
to
that
hear
Scream Queens with an S?
With a Z.
Hello, gentlemen of the Hysteria Continues podcast. Gentlemen and Eric, of course, since that's what everybody's saying lately. Anyway, this is Patrick from the Scream Queens Horror Podcast, and I was just calling to wish you all a Happy New Year, because I haven't called in a really, really long time, and I felt bad about that. And I figured since it's the season of giving, I have gifts for all of you. Now, don't get nervous, don't get scared. I just wanted to express my appreciation for what it is you do, and that finding you guys has been one of the highlights of my 2012. Or rather, having you found me. I think Justin, you found me. It doesn't matter. Whatever. We got together because we're all in this together. Okay, now I'm singing High School Musical. Let's move on. It's funny, when I first started listening to the show, Justin had called my show, "Oh, right, you should probably give a listen to our little podcast then, because we got 3 gay guys in one straight. Crikey!" Because that's exactly what he sounds like.
Well, that's just insulting.
And when I came over and listened, I was so entertained initially. One of the things that really, really got me was the number of gay gasps per episode. That kind of thing. And you see, it took a while for me to figure out whose voice was whose. So, Joseph, the fact that almost every gay gasp comes from you makes me so happy. The one straight guy on the entire show has mastered the gay gasp.
Well, they're rubbing
It's
off
like
on me,
a bridge
Patrick.
between our peoples. So thank you for that, Joseph, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Nathan, this is something I realized. I told you on Facebook, I just watched The Motorhome Massacre, which was a terrible movie, and yet I loved it. And I thought of you immediately. And the reason why I thought of you is that in this age where everybody's so damn cynical, and it is cooler and more enjoyable to hate something than it is to like it, the fact that you are able to get so much enjoyment out of so many things on such a seemingly deep level, I admire that. Genuinely, it is a compliment. No snark in there at all. All compliment. Write it on your calendar. This doesn't happen very often. Now, Justin, this really isn't a wish for you. This is more advice, just because I was telling Justin on Facebook, we've all known he's been having these cat problems since Argento came, they're acting up and everything. And, I'm a bit of a cat expert, so I've been giving him some advice. But this just occurred to me, because in the last show, I don't know, whatever episode I was listening to, you were talking about your veganism, which you do all the time. And I'm sure you're not doing this But I have to at least address this because a lot of people, a lot of vegan people or vegetarian people get it in their heads that they should convert their pets to vegetarianism or veganism. And that's just stupid. It's not healthy for them. So, Justin, if you are even thinking about doing that, A, I'm going to slap you, but B, just take a moment. Just take a moment, go over and look at your pussy. Get in there, see if you can pull its lips apart a little bit. Get your pussy to open up its mouth and look at your pussy's teeth. See how sharp and pointy they are? You know what that means, right? That means your pussy is carnivorous. Your pussy needs meat. Lots of it. That is where it gets its strength and its power. Sure, every now and then you could, give it a little bit of asparagus. Or hell, my pussy enjoys a string bean every now and then. But that's not what it needs at its core. In order for your pussy to be happy and healthy, you have to keep it stuffed with meat.
Oh.
And then there's your cat.
Patrick.
I knew that was coming.
He's been at the sherry
again. I cracked
again.
myself up. Hi, Erik. How you doing? I'm sorry, this whole quiz thing, you should have won. Your questions that you answered were the hardest, and they should have been worth at least 6 times the points that they were. And for that, I blame Justin.
Yeah, me too.
Really, Justin, just lay off of him, because it pains me to hear Erik cry when he gets all upset and says things like, "Oh, sure and begorra, you're all just a bunch of cheats and lawyers, then hoy-toy-toy-toy-toy-toy," which is exactly how you sound, like all the time. All the time.
Poor Erik.
Happy New Year, boys. And it's Happy New Year with a Z. Yeah, I know it doesn't make sense. Just deal with it. It's a trademark.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick.
Yay! That was the best New Year's greeting ever.
It was.
I need to add him on Facebook. I don't think I have added him yet.
Apart from the impression of my accent, of course.
Well, it sounded pitch perfect to me.
Pitch perfect.
It sounded like Tom Cruise in Far and Away.
Yeah. Well, actually,
don't you think that was one of the best accents ever?
Yeah, it was so authentic.
It was very good. Well, thank you, Patrick, and thank you for your concern about my pussies. But I would tell you that actually we've got more or less, we have got the cat situation fairly under control because we took Captain Mannering, we finally captured him in a badger trap. And if you've ever seen a badger trap, they are the size of a coffin. And one morning we came down, we grabbed him, bundled him into this badger trap and put a duvet cover over it because they're so big you can only cover them in a duvet cover. And we took him to the vets, and everyone else was sat there with the little cat baskets and dog baskets and things like this, and we were sat there with this coffin sized thing covered in, people were thinking we had a giraffe or something with this kind of cat kind of going from inside. And the vet, we carried it into the vet, and he just looked at us as if we had brought in some abominable monster. But he managed to subdue him, so we have Captain Mannering back sans balls. So we're hoping that he will be slightly less bitey and scratchy. And they all seem to be getting on all right at the moment. So anyway, that's the pussy situation. So in case you were wondering. Yes, thank you, Patrick. Always good to hear from you. And if you haven't, I'm sure if you haven't, you should listen to Scream Queen's podcast. And he's up to the latest one.
That's with a Z.
With a Z, yes. And I haven't listened to it yet. I have downloaded it, Patrick, and I'm going to listen to it tonight. He is covering New Year's Evil, which is a film.
Oh, yes, I've listened to that as well, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't covered yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he makes of Evil a little bit later. So
I can't wait to see what he makes of It's Time to Spin Out and Boil Your Hair.
I bet he talks about that.
And the killer in this film actually does account for the differences in time zones.
Exactly. That's the one good thing about it. So, thank you, Patrick, again. Sorry, Joseph, what have we got in the way of feedback? Have you got any written feedback, or is it just the voicemails?
I have one. We haven't really had a lot of feedback over the break, but this is from Brandon Miller. He writes in and says, "Hey, guys, I was wondering if you had or would consider doing a favorite film's first scene in 2012 list. I would be very interested to hear what older or modern films the four of you discovered in the past year. Any genre, not necessarily slashers or gialli. I know doing a top 10 each would make for a 5-hour show, which I wouldn't object to personally. So maybe a bonus show? Well, that's just a suggestion. And he has a really, really long list of movies, which I'm not going to go into because it'd probably take an hour to read. But that was from Brandon Miller. And thank you, Brandon Miller. And we might do that at some point. I don't know.
So what's he mean, sort of first seen, as in like...
I guess movies that you haven't seen until 2012. I don't know, maybe like even newer or older movies like you didn't watch until the first time in 2012.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, something you can have a think about. So it's always good to get suggestions
on the subject. Sorry to break up there. I know for the next couple of episodes, probably the next 3 episodes, we're going to have quizzes because we're kind of running out of ideas for top 3. So if anyone has any good ideas, be sure to email us and let us know, because we would like to bring the top 3 back at some point.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what would be really good to do is actually start a... because people have sent them in and we go, oh, that's a good idea, and then we forget about them. So not because we're not listening, it's just we're not very good at remembering. So if you are in the Facebook group, why not? Maybe we should start a thread, shouldn't we, for top 3 ideas?
Yeah, good idea.
Because I was trying to remember, we were going to do top 3 taglines, but I've got a feeling we've done that. But I can't remember.
See, I don't remember us doing that, but you said we did. So, I mean, can someone out there who's listened to the show remind us if we have? If we haven't, I think it'd be a good idea. But if we have, then never mind. Yeah.
Okay. I've got a little message here from Dan Dominguez, and he wrote and said, "Hey guys, since you'll be doing Hell Night soon, which also we've just done, one of my favourite slashers of the era. I thought I'd clear something up. I wrote in my last email that you so kindly read on the Scream podcast. I mentioned for years as a kid I had a cut version of Hell Night taped off television. You guys wondered what had been cut out, and was there any uncut footage floating around? The cut Hell Night I grew up watching was only cut for time. The scenes missing from my TV version included mostly dialogue scenes, Jenny Newman looking at herself in the vanity mirror. I think he means Suki Goodwin, doesn't he? But the group talking at the gate right after being locked in. The movie media released on VHS and Nanka Bay released many years later on DVD was complete version as far as I know. There was never any extra footage. Since most of the slashers from the era suffered cuts, I guess there's a chance Hell Night may well have more, but I've never read anything about it. Maybe you guys will unearth some info. Happy Hell Night holidays." So thank you, Dan. And that triggers
Thank you, Danny.
Something I forgot to mention about Hell Night was we talked about Jenny Newman's death scene with having a head chopped off. Now apparently that did go on longer. It says on the commentary on the disc that it was they shot the effect longer, but they did cut it either because it was too gruesome or it was it looked too hokey. And I did read somewhere that it said that they were aware by that point in 1981 when they were making it that there was a big backlash brewing against slasher movies, which may have been one of the reasons why the violence was toned down in that. And certainly it was followed in quick succession by Friday the 13th Part 2, which obviously had a lot cut out of it. So thank you, Dan. Shall I go for the next voicemail?
Well, before you do that, not to change the subject too much, but earlier we were speaking about Texas Chainsaw 3D, and Napoleon Wilson posted on the forum. He says, "Texas Chainsaw 3D, I enjoyed it okay, a 6 out of 10. I'm shallow enough to award an extra point for the hot lead actress and her almost 3D boobs. So, now I have to see this."
Fair enough.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, right. Well, here is voicemail number 11.
Hello again, Boston. This is Brett calling again. I'm at the gym. Wonder if you can hear all the sounds of heavy lifting.
Is Brett pulling a muscle?
Their big muscles.
Which one?
Before they head to the showers together and rinse the dirty man sweat off of themselves in the company of other dirty, hairy, large, bearish men. Oh, but I digress.
Eric.
I listened to your show on the movie with Sally Pippen. I already forgotten the title. Holiday Horror, something. Home for the Holidays? Homeless? Horror? I don't know. There was horror. It was a good show. Thank you for reading playing my voicemail. And I really got nothing else to say. This is a completely useless voicemail. Waiting for my Asian friend to come to the gym, and we're going to pump. We're going to work out. Right now, while I'm alone, I do some cardio. I was doing some running. We do some abs, get in shape. When he shows up, we're going to do a lot of heavy lifting, move our big muscles. Well, his big muscles. I just have one big muscle. Ooh. Okay. Maybe I should start writing out little questions to ask you guys before I call in, so that these aren't so meandering. I should think of one thing horror movie related to say. No, I'm out of ideas.
It's all that pulling muscle.
Oh, I have a good top three. Just top three Christmas movies. They don't have to be slashers. For instance, I have a few slashers. It's Christmas is coming rapidly, and I will be watching Black Christmas on Blu-ray, which I rented from Netflix. I don't know if it'll look good. And, of course, Die Hard, and then A Very Brady Christmas. A strange triple feature there, but that's what we like to watch every Christmas. All right, gentlemen. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Brett.
Mm-hmm. Thank you again.
Hope you worked up quite a sweat.
That gym sounds nice.
You'll be heading over there, won't you?
I will.
Doing some presses, lurches.
He won't be using the treadmills, though.
Why not?
Speaking of...
let's dangle a chunky Kit Kat on the end of it.
Speaking of Christmas movies, I finally saw for the first time just before Christmas, it was on television, Bob Clark's A Christmas Story. I'd never seen it before.
Oh yeah, I've not seen it.
Really?
Starring Peter Billingsley, is that his name?
Yeah.
From Death Valley. Yeah, I thought it was quite good, quite entertaining.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's. I still prefer Black Christmas personally, but I was googling Peter Billingsley, if you'll pardon the pun. I didn't realize he's a director now, and he directed some apparently god awful rom-com called Couples Retreat a few years ago.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
that's supposed to be awful, isn't it?
It's supposed to be. Yeah, it's one of those.
I've seen that.
What's his name again? Vince Vaughn type dreadful rom-com nonsense.
Yeah, I've seen it. Unfortunately, it's pretty terrible.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was my one Christmas movie, I think, that I hadn't seen before this year.
Yes.
There's quite a very fun but slightly racist scene in a Chinese restaurant towards the end that made me laugh.
Speaking of Christmas, did either of you watch any kind of Christmas movies over the holidays? It doesn't even have to be horror related.
Well, I just told you I watched A Christmas Story.
Other than you, Nathan or Justin.
I watched the Black Christmas remake. Well, we watched it when we were in Portugal. But I think that was the only one. I watched some M.R. Jane's Ghost Stories for Christmas as well. But those are the only ones I watched. Last year I got to see Christmas Evil on the big screen. But not so lucky this year. What about you, Nathan?
I saw Christmas Evil on the small screen this year as well, actually. So.
Okay. What's the Arrow release like? Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. I think it's more or less identical to the one you have, this US version you have. I think it's the same extras. They seem to be all trauma related. There's an interview with the lead actor, and Sergeant Kabuki Man is there with them.
Right, okay. Sounds like
the lead actor, I didn't realise, is the father of Fiona Apple, the singer.
That's right, yeah. Brandon Maggot.
Yeah.
What
I think it's pretty much
He's Fiona Apple's father?
Yeah. Did you not know that?
No, I did not know that. Interesting.
I just always thought his name was like Brandon Maggot was just made to be in lights, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maggot Apple. So you can see why she took the word.
Very good. Yeah. Didn't make that connection. Yeah.
No, I only just made it now, but it's very tenuous. Very tenuous. But anyway, Nathan, did you watch any holiday movies over the holidays?
Oh, yeah. I watched A Christmas Story. I watched The Dorm That Dripped Blood. I watched Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, Garbage Day.
Is that its official title?
Well, I mean, I like to refer to it as that.
Yeah.
For more than one reason.
Right.
Oh, and also, we talked about it in the last podcast, the remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I
watched that too.
I got to see that as well.
What did you think of it? What did you think of it?
I quite liked it. I was surprised how much people hated it. I didn't think it worked. I think it kind of worked okay. It didn't work overall. It was one of those films that didn't really gel, but I thought it was made up with lots of kind of good scenes, and I liked the characters. Trying to think back now, actually, but I mean, I like stuff like the really bitchy little girl being killed, things like that. It's quite funny, but it didn't go.
Girl.
Yeah, it didn't quite go enough to that side of things. Perhaps I don't know. It doesn't. Sometimes films they probably sound really good when they're on paper and when they're shooting it, everything it's gonna, but it doesn't quite gel, doesn't quite come together. I didn't really know if it was Arthur or Martha. I thought.
Yeah. I thought, as far as new slasher films go, I think I liked it a lot because it had a couple of really good chase scenes, and I think those are lacking a lot in a lot of recent slasher films.
Yeah. So, but I didn't hate it. I think it probably I benefited by watching it, thinking that it was going to be awful. I think sometimes when you watch a film, when you think it's not going to be very good or you've got very low expectations, it's better than watching a film that you're really hyped up to watch, and it's bound to disappoint you. So, but yeah, it's a film I'll probably watch again at some point. And I watched the original Silent Night, Deadly Night as well, again when we're in Lisbon, I think. And I still really enjoy that film. I think it's a really entertaining little film. I can see why it was controversial, but it was. There's a lot of humour in there as well, which I think is kind of misunderstood. But yeah. So okay, have we got anything else to read out? We've got one more voicemail.
Well, I was just going to say, as far as Christmas movies, I watched Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2, A Christmas Story, and Jingle All the Way.
Oh. What's the famous line from that? Put the cookie down or something?
Put that cookie down now! Or who told you could eat my cookies? And a lot of people hate that movie, but I'm sorry, I love that movie. I laugh all the way through it every time I watch it, so there you have it.
Right. Another one of Arnie's gems.
Yeah. Do you like Stop or My Mum Will Shoot?
No, I do not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? It has a couple of funny moments, but overall, I don't think it's it's not one of those types that I like that a lot of people hate. I just don't really care for it.
Okay, right. Well, thank you for that. We've got one more voicemail, so let's see who this is from.
This is Cabe Gaplin, and I'm calling to say congratulations on 50 excellent episodes of the Hysteria Continues.
Thank you very much, Cabe.
Definitely my favorite podcast, and I listen to a lot of them. Justin, I want to congratulate you on your enormous contribution to Slice and Dice, which I had the pleasure of seeing in San Francisco.
Excellent.
I think I wrote some long, rambling review about it on the Body Count Continues website. Thank you, Joseph, for all of your hard work and keeping the website running and keeping it excellent. It makes me
You're quite welcome.
Happy. Nathan, what's going on with your podcast? Are we going to hear a new episode in 2013? I mean, what are you? A very busy person or something?
Not really.
Erik, I'm waiting patiently for your podcast on Xanadu.
Ooh.
I know it'll be excellent.
Thank you.
I want to let you know also that I think you're the best interviewer of this podcast. But of course, none of you are slouches. I'm looking forward to the next 50 episodes. So, keep it up. Oh, and one last thing. Regarding that email I sent you where I might have said that Toya and Susie don't hold a candle to Cyndi Lauper, I just want to clarify. In no way do I think that they're not both excellent musicians and wonderful people. Actually, they're both close personal friends of mine. As a matter of fact, they're with me right now. We're just hanging out. Let's say hello to them, shall we?
Hi.
Hello, Toya. My, you're looking lovely. And how are you today?
I just spent 4 hours burying a cat.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Hello, Susie. My, you seem upset. Is there something you want to get off your chest?
I don't like spam!
Oh, goodness. I had
She's
no idea
vegetarian.
you felt so strongly about pork, shoulder, and ham. Holy crap. Look who's walking by. It's Cyndi Lauper. She's another close personal friend of mine. Hey, Cyndi. Hey!
Hey! Fucking idiot.
Indeed. I probably am. Oh well. So long.
Oh, thank you, Cabe. That was uncanny. Can you imagine what the chances of that? Those three old broads being in the same room.
I know. Hasn't Cabe got an amazing...
Maybe the world did end in 2012.
Yeah.
He's got an amazing trailer voivoice, I think.
He has. You should do your own.
You should do some trailers
Cabe.
for. We should do a trailer and have him do the voice for it.
Yeah. That would be really
and
good.
Like Don LaFontaine. Like,
yes. Cabe, would you be up for that? Would you be up for doing if we put together a trailer and you do a trailer voice for us? I think that would be rather marvellous, wouldn't it?
Rather.
Yes.
What, are you taking a piss out of my accent?
That's not as good as Cabe's. So.
Yeah.
Well, are we out? Well, out of stuff.
Was that Suki Goodwin? Oh no, sorry, it was just Justin. Sorry. I thought you were Suki Goodwin for a second, but it's just you.
Well, I'm sat here with
your voices sound the same.
Well, actually, I'm sat here with Vincent Van Patten and some Quaaludes, so we're going to go and have some Jack Daniels.
Well, what? 2 out of 3, I can believe.
Well, you can imagine I'm sat here with Quaaludes and Jack Daniels, but not Vincent Van Patten.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'll just pass you over, Vincent. What do you reckon?
2, 3 strokes, and I'm dropping in.
Well, that sounds lovely, Vincent, but maybe later?
I mean, first you're all hot to get me up here, and now you want to talk?
I'm sorry, Vincent, but I've got a show to do. Sorry. So,
bitchin', dude. There you go.
So, well, we are going to be back next time, aren't we, with your pick, Erik?
Yes, with another hulking, monstrous killer.
Yes.
Akin to that in Hell Night. Yes.
It's Sophie's Choice, isn't it?
Yes. So brush up on your Meryl Streep, guys.
Yes.
Boy, is it.
We're going for something really horrible, really absurd. But I can't think what it's called.
Well, how absurd that you can't think of that.
Yes. Yeah, we're going for 1981's Absurd, which has numerous titles, one of which is horrible as well. So that's Joe D'Amato's, I suppose, semi-sequel to Anthropophagus.
Yes. Yeah. That'll be interesting. I'm quite looking forward to that one. So yes, well, we'll be back with that, and we'll play you out with some music from Hell Night, the slightly morose but very pretty theme tune, I kind of guess, or kind of whatever it is, but play you that out for you in a moment. So we'll look forward to seeing you, or not even seeing you, but you hearing us next time. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for helping us get to 50.
Yay.
Episodes, that is. Yay.
We made it. Yay.
We made it. And here's to another 50, maybe. Maybe? Do you reckon we can do... Have you got it
I'm up
you?
for 50.
Yeah? What about you, Erik? Have you got it in you?
Yeah, I've done 50 before.
Okay.
Well, he's just won a quiz finally, so I think he's got enough energy to go for it.
I do.
No. Before.
I've won 2 quizzes now, but I've come last in about 15, though.
Yeah, but also let's clarify something here. Erik hasn't won a quiz. He's won the halfway point.
No, I've won it.
No.
Oh, no, I have. That's one. That's not. That's a full quiz.
No, it's not.
No, I'm not. I'm not having any of this. That was a full quiz. I won it.
Well, we'll just say Erik won part 1, and then we'll see who wins part 2.
Yeah.
And then overall, we'll see who the ultimate winner is, and then we'll say who wins part 1.
Oh, this is crap. 2. I won that one, fair and square.
Calm down, dear. Right. Okay, we'll say good night to the good people. So,
bye.
Good Hell Night. Goodbye.
So long. Auf Wiedersehen. Sayonara.
Come on, Erik.
Bye.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
A bit louder.
Bye.